Hi, welcome to today's video. For this project I decided to try and turn some firewood that I had into a key wallet holder thingy. In the end though, this was a great lesson in why using pre-cut lumber is awesome, especially if you only have a hand plane, because I spent a lot of time hand planing, so I hope you guys enjoy this video. For my first step, I had to rough cut the firewood down to size. This was done by using a tape measure to get roughly 2 inches more than I needed and then just hand sawing the wood. Step 2 was splitting the wood. To do this, I stood them up on end and then I used half of an old pair of shears and a hammer to split the wood. I got about 2 to 3 boards per log piece. Once the wood was split, if there were any knots or imperfections near the edges, I then had to trim those off. So I just took the shears and the hammer and split it again. When I started planing the boards, I used this tiny hand plane, which I very quickly realized how long and difficult it was going to be just using that, so I did switch to a bigger one later. But I had to hand plane down both the top and bottom faces, as well as both sides of the boards. You can see here just how much of a mess planing made. There were shavings everywhere, and what you see here is only about half of one board. After doing a couple boards with the little hand planer, I smartened up and used a bigger one, which made things go so much smoother and faster. After getting the boards planed, I noticed that one end of all of them was super rough, so I marked out kind of a straight-ish line and then cut the end off. My next step was the final sizing of the boards. This took almost as long as planing them, as I had to measure out and mark the length, width, and height that I wanted, and then cut them all exactly with a handsaw. And it was also raining a lot for a couple days while I was doing this, and I subbed my thumb a little bit, which didn't help. After cutting the boards to size, I gave them a quick sand.
So now that there's 4 of essentially the same piece, I want this one to be at the top, and you can see they're not all perfect. This one had a really bad imperfection that ended up being sanded out, but I want them to be joined like that, but with a box joint. So I now need to mark out and cut out all the different fingers that go between the two.
Once I had all the joints marked, I double checked that they would all fit together by going end to end with each piece and making sure they matched. I also marked out spots on the back of the frame for the back panels to join to the sides with fingers. Once I had everything marked, then I cut it all out. With them all cut, I joined them together to check the fit, and I used a couple of 3D printed blocks to keep things square. It held together really well, surprisingly. The joints were super tight, and yeah, everything held together great. After the test fit, I decided to stain everything using a stain and white technique that really brought out the grain within the wood, I thought. After everything was stained, I added a hinged back support to keep the thing stable at an angle. And then finally I gave everything a coat of poly and added the hooks for the keys. In the end, this turned out really great and has been super useful for me for holding my stuff. I've been using it for a while now, and yeah, it works great. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.